right company, the right soil. Because I found myself doing this 4 years ago when I had to start over. I was doing the right thing, but I was in the wrong soil. You guys are in the right soil with Jalen, with Mike, with Lasty Mark, and honored to know them. And man, they encourage me when I see them walk into the room. Man, I go, I'm not even dressed nice enough, man. These guys are like models and got muscles everywhere. And I'm like, man, I got to get to the gym. So they encourage me in a lot of different ways as well. But last week, when I was in Scottsdale at the LM7 Club and Jalen and Mike were there as well, I was just looking in the room at all these people that had just really broken through in their businesses and in life. And this phrase came to me, and Jalen, I just want to share it with everybody tonight because we hear the word breakthrough a lot, right? It's a sexy thing to say, it's a cliche thing to say. But when I looked in the room in Scottsdale, this phrase came to me and I wrote it down. Breakthrough happens when we intentionally and consistently execute the boring and basics daily. Let me say that again. Everybody's looking for a breakthrough, but they don't want to do the boring and the basic stuff every single day. John Maxwell calls that consistency, and consistency compounds. In other words, don't sacrifice consistency on the altar of sexy. Because how many people know, can I get a witness tonight, that so many agents fall victim to being seduced by all the new shiny stuff that plagues our industry, the new platforms, the new programs, the new this and the new that. And listen, I'm not saying don't invest in some of those things, but if they're not in alignment with your assignment, right, where God has you in the direction that you're going in your business, don't be seduced by them. Stay focused, because diluted focus equals diluted results. I've heard it said that success loves consistency more than intensity. Let me say that again. I've heard it said that success loves consistency more than intensity. Why? Because one is founded on a new identity enforced by new rhythms, and the other one is founded on emotion. Right? This is why it takes us being consistent. And I'll finish with the word here. I told you guys I was going to behave to get to Q&A. So I'm going to finish with the word here because I don't ever want to forget. Deuteronomy 8:18 says, don't forget the Lord your God who gave you the power and the ability to create the wealth. See, I don't have a problem talking about success because I'm not making success my God, right? But instead, I'm giving glory to the God of my success. See the difference? In Proverbs 12:11, written by the smartest and wisest and richest king to ever live, he said it this way: those who work their land will have abundant food, but those who chase fantasies, in other words, worthless pursuits, have no sense. Tell us how you really feel, King Solomon, right? Those who work the land will have abundance, will have provision, will have more than enough, but those who chase the sexy, the fantasies, the worthless pursuits, things that are fleeting and have no meaning or significance, have no sense. What he's saying here, guys, is consistent, faithful effort produces provision, produces abundance. You know, I used to hear in the church that I grew up in that they used to say in the church that, you know, favor isn't fair. And I don't necessarily agree with that because I believe favor follows faithfulness. See, when you're faithfully steward what God has given you, what he's entrusted to you, listen to now, and you stay in alignment with his will and with his word, you invite his super into your natural and something supernatural happens. I'm living proof of that. My wife and I's story is living proof of that we should not be here today for everything that we went through 4 years ago when everything was stripped, but we made a commitment to be consistent, to do the basics and the boring every single day, the basics and the boring every single day, to do the basics and the boring every single day, even on the days that we didn't want to do it. And then we made an agreement with one another to stay in alignment with what God had given us, to cultivate the land that he had given us, so to speak. And we saw God do something supernatural in our business to the point that we were able to make the LM7 Club in 3 years. And listen, I want to give all glory to God for that because he gave us the skill set and the ability to do that. In other words, long lasting fruit, long lasting impact doesn't come from chasing and comparing, it comes from cultivating the land that God's already given you. Okay, I need you to see that. And then the last thing I'll close with, Jalen, and we'll get to some Q&A, is this. And this was something that I had to come to realization several years ago, is I had to stop complaining about not having the life that I was unwilling to create. See, that's what happens in our industry, isn't it? Because when we start complaining, in Mississippi, they call it kinfolk. It starts inviting all your kinfolk, the kinfolk over, right? You start getting comparison over there. You start, all criticism and all these other things start to get invited into your life when you are complaining. And I had to come to the realization that I was complaining about a life that I was unwilling to create. I was complaining about not having a harvest like everybody else had, but I didn't sow any of the seeds that needed to be sown to get the harvest, right? The Bible's very clear that God is not mocked, that whatever we sow, we will reap. And if we want to reap abundantly, then we must sow seeds in abundance. And so the point I want to just encourage you and impart with you tonight to you tonight is simply this: be consistent day in and day out, consistently buy your leads instead of complaining about the leads, right? Consistently celebrate the small wins instead of consistently complaining that you don't have the big wins like somebody else on the team, right? Consistently be thankful that you have an upline like Mike and Jalen and Tony G's and Deanna Privets and the others, instead of consistently maybe complaining and griping about what they don't do, right? This is what it takes to be a leader, is to shift the focus and stop being the old you, because the old you, listen, you'll never outperform or out earn your identity long term. You never will. Now, let's be very clear here. Tony G can back me up on this, right? How many people know? Excuse me, I'm gonna be a little PG-13 here, but Jalen said it's okay, right? And let me be honest with you. How many D bags and buttholes do we know in this? I only Christian cuss, guys, so everybody's good, okay? How many D bags and buttholes do we have in our industry making a lot of money? Can I get a witness? But I can tell you that the Bible says God is not mocked, that whatever you sow, you will reap. So I can tell you with confidence that you will never out earn your identity long term. You'll never out earn or perform your identity long term. It will always come back to sabotage you. And that's why you have to consistently be growing and leaning into your truest identity, because the old you won't get you to where the new you needs to go, right? The success that you're wanting is not going to be because of the old you. You have to consistently put in those rhythms and invest in yourself to get to the new place. The LM7 club winner from last year can't be the same guy this year, right? He has to grow and has to get better and be a better steward and be more focused on the results that we desire for Agape this year. So I just want to encourage all of you: don't quit, don't give up, don't complain. The best you can. Now, we're perfect at it? No. There's some days I wake up, I don't get up every day just jumping out of the bed doing backflips and loving this life. There are many days where, man, I can get up in my feelings quickly. Can I get a witness? Anybody testify to that? It's real easy to get up in your feelings, right? But I'll tell you this: you'll never get to the true. You'll never live out your truest identity that way. What will happen is you will construct a lie identity around those feelings, and that lie identity will always limit what God truly has for you tonight. But I pray that encouraged somebody tonight. I pray that I was able to impart life into you and speak life into you. And listen, I just want to call that out of you tonight, that you were made for more and that God has something special for you. And he's reminding you tonight that he sees you and that he's for you. And his word says that if he's for you, there's nothing. Now, I don't know what the word nothing means where you're from, but in the Bible, it means nothing.
Nada.
Nothing at all. Nada, right? However you want to slice it and dice it, nothing can stand against you.
Oh man, Rob, you almost got me fired up. I'll tell you, I almost opened up the book of Psalms as you were quickly was talking. You was hitting me with so many nice things, man. You're speaking my language, and I'm telling you, if you just listen to Rob speak, I remember the first time I heard him speak at the Lasting Mark event when they used to call it I was so blown away by his speech where I'm telling you guys, he did not miss a beat. Like, did not miss a beat at all. And it had me super tuned in the entire time. So anytime that I can be able to listen to Rob speak, I'm always getting some things out of it, man. And you dropped so many nuggets in here. You just literally said you will not outperform or earn your identity long term. And we talk about this identity thing so many times. It just hit me with so much revelation. Even me, where I'm like, wow, that was so beautiful, man. Because I was talking to some people like over the weekend and talking to people like even today, and a lot of people are wondering why they're not getting to that next level, and they're working harder, right, in the business. They're working
Yes.
harder in the business, and they wonder why they're not making no progress. And I always tell people that I don't say it the same way you just said it, but I'm taking what you just said. But I always tell them that you will never be able to get past who you currently are, right? You will never be able to get past who you currently are based off of the person that you are right now, right? And I always like to tell people, like, hey, when you set a goal, goals are not meant to be hit, they're meant to help you grow. And so many people are looking to get to that next level, but they don't want to do the inner work that's required in order to grow. You know what I mean? And when you just said that, it was just so amazing. So when you first started,
Yeah.
what did you focus on that most new agents completely overlooked?
Well, I would say this for me, I focused a lot on community. And here's why, because we had just punched, man, in the gut, right? And there was a time that I didn't have, there was a moment, a small season where I didn't have enough belief in myself in that moment. So I needed to borrow the belief off of Brian Askins and the whole Secure Insurance Group. And so having that community and connecting with them, because a lot of times people think proximity is enough, and it's not. See, I can be close, I can come to these things, I can do the trainings, but I need to be connected with somebody, right? Like truly connected, this intimate connection. And for me, that was Brian Askins. But I say for me, I focused on the community and the connection part because my personality thrives in community.
Mm.
And you have to understand that I had been in a community that just really was tearing us down. It was a community that really led with fear and controlled by fear. And so I needed to be part of a healthy community. And the second thing is for me, Jalen, that I focused on was really on what am I good at now, today? Not what Tony G's good at, not what Michael Bond's good at, because that's where the comparison comes in, and comparison will always cripple you. I needed to focus on what I was good at today, because remember, my confidence will catch up. I just got to consistently do what I'm good at today. What was I good at today? Well, I had been in Medicare almost 3 years. So I knew how to sell Medicare. I didn't know how to run an agency. I didn't really know how to run ads and stuff like that. But I said, if I can just get in front of the people, Coach Michael Burt says we don't have a money problem, we have a people problem. So I wanted to get my PhD as fast as possible in that people problem, getting in front of the right people. So those are two things that come to the top of my mind.
I love that. Next question would be based off your experience and what you see for new agents, right? What daily habits must they adopt within their first 90 days to be successful?
Yeah, I would say this: change the content, all forms of content, the podcast, the radio, the TV, the whatever. Because you have to understand the old you now, that old you is reinforced by all those rhythms that you built for 20 something years, 30 something years, 40 something years. And that old you is not going to get you to where you want to go. So change the content. I like to say it this way, Jalen: the content that you consume the most is what you become the most like. So if I'm watching Love is Blind or Love Island, or yeah, I tell my daughter this, I get on her all the time. I'm not hating, so please don't hate. People are gonna be like, I don't like this Rob guy. I don't want him coming back. He's getting on my. I'm not saying that, right? You're responsible for you. I got to be responsible for me, right? But I tell my daughter, cut a lot of that drama stuff out because you're inviting that into your life, whether you realize it or not. So I would say one rhythm that you need to put in place is change the content. If it's not speaking life, if it's not moving the needle in the direction that you're wanting to go, then it's going to cripple you, right? You're looking for stuff that's going to be a catalyst in your life. So that's why for me, it's the Bible. That's the book for me. That's the song we used to sing when I was a kid, right? For me, it's the podcast. For me, it's the YouTube. For me, it's getting around the Jalen's and the Mike Fortains. It's going to the conferences and doing whatever I need to do to hear the content that is in alignment with my calling. If it's not alignment with my calling, I'm not down with it. I'm cutting it off. Okay. So I would say one of the biggest disciplines that you need to change is the content that you're consuming. And I'll give you a challenge. Go back over the last 90 days and audit all the content that you've consumed and all the different ways that you consume it. I mean, take a real audit of it. Is it being a catalyst in your life or is it crippling you? Only you know that answer.
You talking so many nice parables. It's amazing, man. Like it's just beautiful. Like Rob, I'm just hearing. I'm like, oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's a good one. No, that's a good one. I got all these sticky notes on my desk. I'm like, that's a good one. Oh man, this is good. All right. Next question is going to be if a brand new agent came in today, Rob, okay, and they said they want to get to $10,000 a month, what would you tell them to prioritize?
We've said it a million times, the identity piece, because identity always precedes activity and being always informs doing. Always. And you won't out earn that identity piece. I used to think that was a bunch of garbage. Maybe some are kind of thinking, oh, that's not true. It's true. I'm telling you, because the old Rob from 7 years ago, there's no way he could handle and steward what God's given him today. So the identity piece, don't sacrifice identity on the altar of activity. I know it's hard to do in our industry because we're telling people to do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that. But I promise you, if you will work on the identity piece, I promise you the income will be there, right? Because the income that you make is directly proportionate to the identity that you're living from daily. The identity that you live from daily determines the impact that you're going to make in this world. So identity is such a key piece. So I would say focus on identity. And then I would say focus on getting as much information about the industry, but don't keep it there. Don't stop there. Quickly implement it, right? Because you know this, wisdom is applied knowledge. If it's not applied, it's just knowledge. But if you want to be wise, then apply it. And you're talking about the book of Proverbs. I love the book of Proverbs. Whether you love the Bible or disagree with it or whatever, I can tell you that wisdom works because I've seen it work in my own life. So if you want wisdom that works, go read the book of Proverbs. So those are two things that I would focus on.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. All right, two more questions for you, okay? Three more, actually, if that's okay. What mistakes cost you the most amount of money early on that you wish you would have avoided?
Man, that's a good one. I thought about that when I was in Scottsdale, man, in the room with all of you. I call you guys ballers, man. You know, I was in the room with all you guys going, man. I would say this big mistake number one for me is I prided myself in being a non high maintenance agent, right? And we love you too, but you know who you are. You know, high maintenance agent. We love you too. God loves you too. You going to heaven, I think. Anyhow, high maintenance agent. I prided myself in not being that high maintenance agent. And what it did is I got prideful in it and it kept me from asking quicker.
Mm.
The Bible even says you have not because you ask not. And what I was doing is I wasn't asking. Like I see Deanna Previtt, and I'm just going to edify her. Every time I'm around here, here's one of Deanna's superpower. She's not afraid to ask. She'll ask. She's like Miley Cyrus, like a wrecking ball, man, coming up in there, and you know what I mean? Like, and to me, that encourages me. But what held me back for a few years, Jalen, was I didn't ask quick enough. I got a little prideful, not prideful in a sense like I know everything, but kind of just let that fear of maybe what people, they're going to think I'm high maintenance because I'm asking too many questions. And I didn't realize that it was sabotaging my business. It was keeping me from that 7-figure production. So that's one. The other one for me was operating in a lane that I didn't need to be in. So my wife and I work together in this agency called Agape, and I'm the visionary. I'm the one that just loves life, man. I'm the forerunner, man. I'm the kind of person that jumps off the mountain and thinks about a parachute on the way down, right? And sometimes I've been guilty of operating in lanes that I didn't need to be in. and it was sabotaging our momentum, right? Because the two hardest things in this business, in my opinion, is to create momentum and keep the momentum, right? And so I was sabotaging momentum because I was operating in lanes or in giftings, if I want to use a Bible terminology here, in gifts that weren't really meant for me long term. I could do those things. Like for instance, customer service. I love my clients, but I don't need to do customer service every day. Why? Because it drains me and it keeps me from being the person that I believe that I'm supposed to be. And I love infecting people with something positive and with life and energy. And it would carry over into my presentations. Guess what? My wife is a details person. My wife is a nurturing person. My wife can stay on the phone with 2 hours and it doesn't drain her the way that it drains me. So I think another mistake for me was operating in lanes I didn't need to be in. And here's the third one: I didn't delegate fast enough
Mm.
because I thought that I didn't need, I thought I could do everything on my own. And so I remember the first main event, that's what they called it in Springfield, Missouri, I went to. This is before even Roger and Brian merged and all that. Three times Cody told me, Cody Askins, Brian Askins, and Roger all told me, hire an assistant sooner than later. You won't regret it. Delegate, delegate, delegate. You won't regret it. And I put that on the back burner and I finally listened because I'm a slow learner, right? And I'm telling you, when I begin to delegate and stop operating in those different lanes that I didn't be operating, our business began to do this, right? So I would say those are just a few things off the top of my head, and hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, that was really good. Really, really
Yeah.
good. That was really, really good. We got some agency owners on the line right now who are afraid of delegating. They got to delegate. Delegate,
You got to
delegate.
delegate, man. I'm telling you, our business went up about 25% when we hired our first assistant. And then we hired another assistant. Once again, we just hired another assistant because I made it took me a little bit to learn it. But this time I said, I'm not going to wait. I'm going to hire another assistant. And now we need to hire another assistant. And so we're in the search for another assistant because every time we've hired an assistant, our businesses went up about 15 to 25% because we're delegating. We're delegating the details, in other words, right?
Yeah.
And I'm staying focused on what I'm good at. What am I good at? Meeting the people, loving the people, sharing Medicare with the people, talking about health insurance with the people. And I'm delegating all those other details to them. And it allows me to stay more fresh. It allows me to have more vision. It allows me to be more creative, right? And that's why you don't want to complain. You want to be careful not to complain too much because, and I said this before, is complaining always stifles your creativity.
Mm.
And remember, it's never lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness. But if I'm complaining all the time and it stifles my creativity, then I'll never create my way out of it.
Mm, mm, mm,
Make
mm.
sense?
That makes sense.
Right.
Lord.
And listen to this. Can I say one more thing there about creativity? We
Hmm.
were all made in the image of God, who's the creator of all creators, right? And he's put an aspect of his creativity in all of us, right? Are we going to be a good steward of that creativity? So I can complain or I can create, but I can't do both.
Oh, Rob, that's amazing, man. Last question. I was going to ask two, but I got one more for you, okay?
Yes, sir.
And you kind of already hit on this just a little bit, but I want to kind of get a little bit more specific, right? At
Yeah.
what point did you realize you were running a business and not just selling policies?
Yeah, I think I learned that very on because I think for you guys that know me personally, and I love the Zoom when I came on, it said impact over income. And I truly mean this sincerely, Jalen, is um, while I do love the income, it doesn't truly satisfy me the way the impact does in having people's lives.
Mm.
And so for me, um, the money and the profits and the commissions and all those things, they're fun. I love getting commissions every single day in my bank account. Can I get a witness? Everyone can get 100 or some fire, something going. I'm not going, I don't like that. I do like that. That's so cool when you create momentum in this business and you're getting paid every day almost. And but for me, the business for me was more about how many lives am I impacting. I call it ROR, return on relationship. I'm focused more on ROR than I am ROI because I know the ROI will be there if I build the relational equity. And so for me, it was not only a business, if I could take it one step further, I'm building a legacy, right? And John Maxwell says that we leave a legacy in people, right? Not just for people. And so this is a legacy that I want to leave to my children's children, right? That's Proverbs as well, right? And so for me, I think it really clicked early on. It's just who I am. But I will say this, I think it really began to change for me when we went through that season, because it took 3 years. Now, listen to this. This is a word for someone today. It took 3 years for God to resolve that situation. We were spending thousands of dollars on legal fees because we had to play defense. We weren't suing or we weren't trying to do anything. This person was trying to utterly destroy us, and they had the pockets to do it. But in that 3 years, it developed in me a greater compassion for people, Jalen. It developed in me a greater dependence on God, and it developed a greater awareness that we're building something more than just selling Medicare policies, cross-selling, and commissions, right? Let me say it to you this way. My wife will testify that she's in the front living room there. It starts to become a business, and even more than that, it starts to become more when you begin to get calls from people that go, I couldn't afford my medicine, but now because of you helping me, I can. Or my mother was going to have to go into a nursing home and they had her on the wrong plan and you advised us, right? But it all goes back to the identity piece, that if I didn't believe I was a son of the Most High King, man, and I didn't walk in that every day, I wouldn't be able to make the impact through the business part of it, and we wouldn't be able to make the income. So I would say for me, that was early on. That's the way I've always lived my life. But I would say the 3 years taught us a lot of lessons, right? And it made us better people, which allowed us to be a better steward when the blessing did come, right? So don't always pray for the outcomes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm guilty of that because I'm this guy. I want the shortest distance from A to B. Can I get a witness? Anybody testify that I'm that kind of personality? But I had to learn how to start praying for wisdom instead. For wisdom. God, what is it you want me to know in this season? And what is it you want me to do? What is it you want me to know? And what is it you want me to do? And those two questions will change your life. Instead of, hey, God, can you just give me the blessing now? Hey, God, can you just bless my socks off? Hey, God, because God knew that I wouldn't be the person that I needed to be. I wouldn't be a good steward of the blessing if he would have gave me this 3 or 4 years ago. Make sense? So hopefully, I know it was a little preaching there, but I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, no, that answered my question. That was really, 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 really good. I think this was like, for me personally, I believe this is the best call of the year. You know,
Praise
you
God, man.
really hit on so many good nuggets that most entrepreneurs who come on the line don't really talk about. I mean, we kind of,
Yeah.
talk about it here and there, but absolutely, Rob, thank you so much for coming on and pouring into the team. Grateful to have relationships like you, Rob, to be able to come in and pour into the community, man. I'm definitely grateful for you, and I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you. Is it next week?